podcast, hosted by Jordan, Gabby, and Shayna, 3 friends who needed a creative outlet, wanted to get together and have a good time, and talk about the thrills, spills, and realness of motherhood.
Welcome to Mama Juice.
Okay, so our next episode, we are going to introduce our guest, Melissa. She is a therapist. We're going to talk a lot about that as well in a different episode, which I'm very excited about. But she is multifaceted, amazing person. And this particular episode, we are going to talk about how she was a bonus mom at a very young age. Okay, so bonus mom. Okay, so you were a bonus mom. Your current husband,
24.
Yes,
24.
Wow.
He had 2 babies from
And how
2
old
mommies.
Yeah.
What are the kids?
I met my bonus stepson, I'll say stepson, just younger, when a month before he turned 6, and then my stepdaughter right before she turned 1.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you like way back, and you were so motherly and so good.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, wow.
And I
Thank
don't know, was
I don't know yet.
But did you feel like, was that a lot of pressure, or did you just like jump into it, or?
It's so funny. I was just talking to my therapist about this like probably yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? Because, and we'll get into this, just like how roles have shifted kind of since becoming a mom.
Yeah.
I felt like there wasn't pressure. Like I just kind of like dove in, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I met this man who like has this son because he didn't have his daughter for overnight till she was 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he, we had Bruin, and he was amazing, and like, I'm like, wow, like he makes this package, right? Like he's awesome, like so sweet and so thoughtful, and I'm like, oh, this is easy,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like,
great.
and then real life stuff happens,
Yeah.
right? And that's where it kind of comes, challenging-ish. And I say that because when you co-parent with different moms, right? You kind of have to learn, and this is a lot of learning from like my perspective. It's okay, this is his kid with somebody else, and the way I would do things is different.
Yeah.
So okay, I can talk to my husband about this, and I can maybe address it with the moms, but how does this look like in our house, right? What's the best for the kid? What's best for them? So that's always been kind of a little, because now I'm a mom and I do things differently because I have my own child.
You don't want to overstep, but
sure,
you're like,
sure.
I
I don't want to overstep. It's also when it comes to like, if it's like safety related, okay, I'll say something, but there hasn't really been anything to like, your safety's at risk, so okay.
How's your relationship with the mamas?
Am I a good person to ask? I don't know, because I feel like maybe my own feelings get in the way, and I kind of like story tell a little bit in my head. So like, am I a good, reliable historian? Like, I don't know. Right? Like,
It's a very good answer.
you're right. Like, I'm like, okay, I feel like we definitely can speak. Like, we're on speaking terms. And there's moments where I'm like, yeah, we get along fine, it's great. And then there's other times where I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm sure they feel that way about me too, right? Where it's like,
tough situation.
yeah, sure. And it's like, I know, I tell myself, this is about the child, right? This is not about my feelings. And I have to like look in the mirror and check myself. Because a lot of the times it's my own emotions from my childhood, from my upbringing, whatever, that's like bubbling to the surface. And I have to kind of like take a step back. So there's just like a lot of moving parts,
They should be lucky to have you. I feel like you're so
Yeah.
thoughtful
and like
that you're
insightful.
thinking
Yes.
constantly about the kids and them and like trying to do what's best.
Yeah, and it can be hard, and I think there's like times where I think they also have 2 very different personalities. Like one is, I feel like more type A and one's more type B.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, and I feel like I fall in the middle, right? Like there's moments I'm a little type A, and then there's moments I'm definitely like type B. So I'm like, okay, like how would I approach this? Like, what language do I want to use? Like, how do I approach this? Is dad better to approach this with, or is it better coming from me? So there's a lot of, moving pieces.
It's kind of cool though that you get to like step into seeing kids in different stages of life
Sure.
before having
Yeah.
your own,
Sure.
and it's like you
Well,
kind of got to
sneak
go,
peek,
to
yeah.
like school,
Yeah.
kind of,
Little
but
practice.
but then
Some
all the
practice.
pressure was on you,
Yeah.
right? To if whatever was
Yeah.
going on with them,
Of
and
course.
then now you get like
the pressure is immense now, and not even just as like a mother, but as a stepmom too. Now I feel like it was kind of like fun.
Yeah.
You know, I was
Yeah.
like, there is no pressure. Like, they're not my kids biologically, but I love them like my own. So I'm like, okay, it's less. But now that I'm a mom, I'm like, I don't want to fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Now the
hard.
pressure's
Yeah.
on.
Now the
Yeah.
pressure's on,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I don't want to fuck up my kid, but I also don't want to fuck up my stepkids.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like,
And it's
And
different
my-
perspective.
yes,
probably,
and my
like,
therapist
what
is
you're
like,
responsible
listen, honey, you got to turn it down.
Yeah.
Like, we fuck up. We do.
The
as
mom
parents.
guilt.
Yes,
yes,
you could
yeah.
be perfect,
So
and
real.
then they're like, she used to fucking cut my sandwich wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or she didn't do enough
I
of this.
can't even
Yeah,
eat
never
peanut
let me
butter jelly
breathe.
now.
Yeah.
Telling their future therapist,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know what? I can't stress myself
I always
out
think
too
about what
much
they're
about
going to tell
this.
their
Yeah.
therapist about me.
Yeah, I think of that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, are they gonna report back? What are they gonna say?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And I try to like ground myself and tell myself like I'm doing the best with what information I have now in this moment, right?
Yeah.
Like just like
Yeah.
I think about my mom. I love my mom. I've also like done healing from things for my mom.
Sure.
She's never done anything intentionally to
Yeah.
hurt me
Mhm.
or never abandoned me or anything like that. But there are things I'm like, I would do that differently with my
Yeah.
child, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And then you see how hard it is, though. Like,
Sure.
And now as a mom, you're
In
like,
the
oh,
moment,
I get it.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
especially
especially-
times, like, I remind myself, I'm like, oh, I'm actually responsible for
Yeah.
this thing.
Who let me? I have three. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and it's especially hard when you're like wrapped up in your own stuff and like you're
Yeah.
going through
Yeah.
personal things, and
Yeah.
you're also still responsible for this little life.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and
For-
that's
yeah.
hard. So
Yes.
No matter how you
Yeah.
feel, you will still have to.
you have to,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're sick, you are emotionally hurting. That little thing is still looking for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
whole world. They're
Yes.
Yeah.
for their whole world.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So
was it cool to see Ty be a dad? Like when you guys were first starting dating? I mean,
Of course.
I bet
That
that
was,
would
like,
have been.
one of the
I bet he was
reasons
a good dad.
that's
right?
one of the reasons I fell in love with him.
Yeah.
I tell him that all the time. I'm like, you're a great dad, you know,
Is
and
he a
I
cheerleader
love
to them
this.
too?
Of
Just
course,
like,
of
yeah.
course,
Yeah.
of course.
I mean, yeah, he's
And
gotta
it's
be.
so funny because I have some other friends and they're like, oh, Ty's like the strict parent? Because like if you
Oh, yeah,
know
when
Ty,
yeah.
everyone's like, oh, he's like happy go
The
lucky,
fun
like
guy,
oh whatever, and like he can lay the hammer. I'm like, oh, this is kind of hot.
Yeah.
Oh, where did
Say
this come
it.
from? He's like,
Oh.
I can't let that slide. I'm like, period. Okay.
Yes.
Like,
I love it.
I get
Yes.
it. So it's
No.
nice to see that balance, and he does. So, yeah, he's good. Great partner, great dad. So,
Yeah, he seemed
Yeah.
like he'd be a good dad.
Yeah,
I've
for
never
sure.
seen him in dad action,
yeah,
but
yeah, but
yeah.
he is.
yeah, it'd be interesting to like see. Some, I mean, especially being young, like step in and already see how somebody would be as
Sure.
a future
Yeah,
dad,
right?
right?
I don't
Another
like this,
sneak peek.
or
Because
like,
like
oh.
we married a bunch of people that didn't have kids,
Yeah,
right? And we're
right.
like,
You just hope-
hopefully they
We're
don't
just
suck.
like,
I don't know. Yeah. Well, let's
Yeah.
just wrap it up. Okay, we're
Okay.
gonna talk about other
That's a good one.
stuff.
All right, cheers.
Yes.
Bye.